Hello my night wolves and welcome back to another video. Today I'm here with my little wolfy friend. You guys probably saw him always in the background, or she. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. But this wolf is always in the background, just chilling right here normally. And I decided to tell you guys their name, I don't know. And it's Slush. So their name is Slush. Slush the wolf. I got this wolf from my mom. So this is Slush the wolf. Put him back there. Anyway, so that's not what this video is about. I just wanted to let you guys know if you're curious about the wolf, because I always have the wolf in the background of my videos. So there you go, wolf, Slush the wolf. Anyway, so today we're here because I wanted to talk about my disability. I've made 3 or more, I don't know how many videos on this. Here's another one. If you didn't know, I have a walking disability. It wasn't always like that. I was a normal, quotes about normal, because what is normal? No one's really actually normal. But anyway, so I was a normal girl. From the age that I can walk, which was I think 4, 5. I don't know when did I start walking. I don't know. It's probably in my baby book that my mom gave me. But yeah, so from the time that I could walk to the age of 13, I could do everything that I wanted to do. Run, I could walk properly. I could do like anything I wanted, and no matter what. If I wanted to go hiking, I can go hiking. If I want to do cheerleading, I can do cheerleading. Pretty much anything that you could do, I could do. And then one day, it all changed, and I could no longer do those things. So when I was 13 years old, I was put into the hospital and was diagnosed with transverse myelitis. What is transverse myelitis? It is a spinal cord injury that is kind of rare. It's got very little cases on it. So when I first got it, they are like, she has this thing called transverse myelitis, and my mom was like, what's transverse myelitis? We've never heard of it. And doctor says, yeah, it's a new spinal cord injury, and not many people have it, so there's not very many cases on it. It's brand new to them, so it's brand new to us. So they weren't too sure if I was going to be able to get up and walk ever again. I have a spinal cord injury. We don't know how I got the spinal cord injury. I always think it might have been the time when I ended up getting choked. I'll tell you that story. When I was in high school, this girl slammed me up against the wall and started to choke me. The reason why she was so angry with me was because there was this guy. I told a story as well, so somewhere's on my channel. Young, stupid, and I normally spoke what I wanted, like whatever was in this freaking head. I normally just blabbed out before thinking about it. And the guy, he was in the closet and wasn't ready to come out, and I was stupid and naive, and I called him gay, or something along the line of gay came out of my mouth, and it hurt him, and I didn't mean to hurt him, but of course I was 13, stupid, wasn't really thinking, and just blabbed whatever I wanted out without and thinking there would be no consequences to my words that I said. And just as I was about to turn the corner to go to my class, this girl that's in another class, there was 2 special ed classes. I was in the special ed class for first years, and she was in the special ed class for graduates who are going into, I was in middle school, so she was going into high school, and I was just starting middle school kind of thing. She was in one special ed class, I was in one, and then I was going to my special ed class, and she came around the corner, and she was mad at me. I was like, I'm not a confrontation person. I'm like, if I did something wrong, talk to me and we'll talk it through. But she didn't want to talk at all. She was from the city, so she knows only to fight with her hands. If she's mad, fight with her hands. Like, she's not like to talk kind of person. So she slammed me up against the wall and started choking me. And I, of course, dug my nails into her to get away from her, which I got in trouble for defending myself, which is bullshit, by the way. If somebody is choking the life out of you, do something. Because everyone else wasn't doing anything. They were just standing there watching me. So I did something and I got out of that. I used to do cheerleading. I loved cheerleading. It was my favoriteest thing in the whole world to do. And now I could no longer do cheerleading because of her. Oh, because we don't know when it happened. It could have been when she did that. It could have been when she did that. Or it could have been something else that triggered it. Or I don't know. But the only thing that comes to mind when they might have how I got my transverse myelitis, a spinal cord injury, is her slamming me up against the wall. So that's the only thing. It didn't happen immediately. It happened like I think a week later that I suddenly could not walk anymore. I was having like severe back pain, not like right after. A week later, I woke up and I was having severe back pain, and I thought, oh, I'm just, because I'm a girl and I'm 13, I'm starting my monthly, so I didn't think anything of it. So I got out of bed and feeling like I had to go to the bathroom. So I was like, maybe I should go. I felt like I had to go to the bathroom, but for some reason I'm like, oh, maybe I should go lay on the sofa. So I started walking down the hall and I'm like, wait, I have to go to the bathroom. So I turned back around. I kind of felt unsteady. Like I could feel like something was off. So I was walking down the hall with my hands out because I lived in a trailer. So the walls were like really close together. So I was walking down the hall with my hands out because I felt unsteady. And then just as I got to the bathroom, my legs gave out and I fell to the floor. But I like caught myself and lowered myself to the floor so I didn't wake my parents up. So I'm sitting there on the floor because I lost everything from my hips down, feed myself. So I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, what just happened? And I think it was because I was so tired that my brain couldn't think of anything. I'm just like sitting there. I wasn't panicking or anything like that. I was just sitting there like, oh, well, that's unusual. And so I wasn't like panicking at all. Pretty much army crawled. I had an army crawl because I couldn't crawl normally. I thought I was going to wake up my mom, but instead I woke up my dad. And it takes a lot to wake up my dad. I grabbed onto his foot and he woke up and he's like, who's there? Like, it was scary because I never heard my dad like be like that. So it was like, I'm like, it's me, Alicia, your daughter. He's like, why are you down on the ground? And I'm like, I can't walk. And he's like, what? He woke up my mom and they got me on their bed. I was talking to them. I was telling them what was going on and all this like that. And they were asking a whole bunch of questions, but I didn't know how to answer them. And I'm like, I don't know what happened. I just woke up. And yeah, so I ended up at the hospital eventually. I'm not going to do the whole story, so you can go and watch it. Before everything, I signed up because I wanted to do soccer. I always wanted to try soccer and I always wanted to try basketball. I wanted to do more cheerleading, but I was in middle school, so I had to do middle school cheerleading. But the cheerleaders at my school scared me to the point where I love cheerleading, but not enough to like try to get into the cheerleading squad. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna do soccer or I'm gonna do basketball. So I signed up for both to try out, and of course around the time that I was going to try out, I ended up in the hospital, so my mom ended up having to tell both of them that I won't be there to try out. When I got home from the hospital, which I was in the hospital for, I said 5 months because it felt so long to me, but in reality it was only 5 weeks. Like an older video that I did this, I said I was in the hospital for 5 months, but then I made a newer version of this to tell the actual truth, which is I was in the hospital 5 weeks, not 5 months. I never knew that. I always assumed that I was in the hospital for 5 months instead of 5 weeks because it felt like a lifetime for me. I was talking to my mom one day and I was like, oh, I was in the hospital for 5 months. And she's like, no, you're only in the hospital for 5 weeks. I'm like, what, really? I'm like, it felt like 5 months. And she's like, nope, it was only 5 weeks. And she's like, it was probably because you were in the hospital you felt like you're in the hospital for a very long time, so you thought you were in the hospital for 5 months, but in reality it was just 5 weeks. All the things that I used to be able to do, like run, go on hikes, I can't really do it now. Like, I can't run, I can't go on hike because I'm afraid that I'll get too tired because the hike might be too long. I can't go up hills, like going up and down hills are hard. Like uneven surfaces are hard for me to navigate. So I used to love going on hikes, now I can't really do it. I said that I can't ride a bike, and I just want to pop in to tell you guys why I can't ride a bike. Is because I can't control the pedals very well. With your butt on the bike, you can pedal and stuff like that, but with me, I can't really pedal, and I have one foot that doesn't really work very well, so I had to wear a brace, and even with the brace on, I can't control the pedals very well. So I most likely will need like straps along my feet to keep them in place so I can pedal. But even doing that is hard. But there is special bikes where you can sit and pedal with your arms, which I went to a camp where I did that and I loved it, but those bikes are super expensive, so I can't ride a bike. And when I get on a bike, I can't really keep my balance either. I knew how to ride a bike and now I can't ride a bike. Everything that I used to be able to do, I cannot really do because of my disability now, that I will fall and hurt myself or fall and like re-injure myself and end up back in the hospital paralyzed again. So that's always a constant fear of mine, is that I will fall and re-injure my back and end up back in the hospital paralyzed and not be able to walk like ever. I'd rather walk a little funny than not be able to walk at all. So I'm very appreciative of that, because I've met people who have transverse myelitis and ended up not back up in walking. I went to a hospital called Shriners Hospital. I loved it there. My mom, not so much. I think it was like the first night or the second night, she was crying because she wanted to go home, where I'm like, this is amazing, I love it here, and I was like so excited to be there, and she was just crying, wanting to go home, and I'm like, oh mom, don't cry, we're here because they're gonna try and help me get back and walking. And because it was so new, they were trying to like look at all the cases of people who have transverse myelitis and see the different like sides of it, like what's different with me to this person, what's different from me to this person, why am I able to get back up and walking and this person is not. So they were pretty much collecting people who had transverse myelitis and doing tests on them and stuff like that. So I remember loving it there and my mom not loving it there. But yeah, so I met this girl. She had transverse myelitis, but she was stuck to a wheelchair where I wasn't. And I realized in that moment that I was super lucky to have gotten up and able to walk again, and I felt so bad for her because they said that she might not be able to ever get back up and walking, and I was just like so heartbroken for her, and I felt so lucky, and I felt like, I don't know, I just went through a whole range of emotions. I could have been like the unlucky one to not be able, I could have been like that girl. I could have been stuck to a wheelchair for the rest of my life, but I got lucky and got back up and walking. It's Shriner Hospital has, I think it's for multiple people, but I know that they do a lot for like little kids. When I went there, I met this one guy. I can't remember his name. He was Indian. I remember that. He was Indian. He was stuck to a wheelchair, but he was a really good person. He was like a friend, and I remember that I got his number so we can keep in touch. But then when I got home, I totally lost it, and I was like so angry with myself and so sad because I really wanted to keep in touch with him because we were like really good friends. And I don't think we lived anywhere near each other, so he lived far away, and I was like so sad because I got home and I lost his number. I looked everywhere. I tore through my whole entire bag that I had, and somehow, I don't know where the number went, it was gone. So I never got to be able to talk to him ever again. And then I met this other girl there. Like, she had this disability where she was sitting in her wheelchair fine and dandy. It was like a nerve damage thing. So I think she was like in a car accident or something. I can't remember the full story because it was like a long time ago. She had like some kind of nerve damage and she was sitting in her wheelchair fine. And then next thing you know, her legs will start shaking like super badly, like so bad, to the point where she had to like legitimately lean forward forward onto her legs while they shake viciously, and I'm just like, oh my god. And she has to live with that for the rest of her life. It sucks that I have this walking disability, but I've learned to live with it. So I'm just like, you know what, yeah, I got this disability and I'm okay with it. I of course always get people staring at me, and it is kind of awkward because they're staring at me. Every time I see somebody stare at me, I'm just like, oh, they're just curious, probably just curious about why I'm walking that way, and probably are trying to work it out in their head and why I am walking the way I do. When I was with my mom, when I was living with my mom and I went to the store with her, we would be walking through Walmart and the people will stare at me, and I'm like, whatever, keep on walking, and my mom will shout at them and be like, take a picture, it'll last longer, kind of situation. I'm just like, Mom, you just got to ignore it. And she's like, yeah, but they're staring at you. And I'm just like, I know, but just ignore it. And I always wanted to like them to come over to me and ask me questions. Like, I'm like, you could come over and ask me what's going on and I'll explain it or something like that. Every time I told people that I had transverse myelitis, they're like, they look at me like I grew 2 heads. They didn't understand what it was, and I of course will explain it as a spinal cord injury and whatnot. It's just a fancy word for spinal cord injury. So when I first got it, they were like thinking about doing surgery to see if that would correct. After a lot of testing, a lot of x-rays, a lot of, what are they called, there is a special word for that, but CAT scans, I went through the tubey thingy, and I went in and they took pictures of my spine that way, and after a whole bunch of things, they came to the conclusion that even if they cracked me open, I just gave myself the... Anyway, so doing surgery was obviously not the answer, and it wasn't going to help no matter what. I was normal, where I could walk, run, cheerlead, do anything I wanted, and then at the age of 13, I could no longer do those things, and I do miss doing cheerleading, all that stuff that I normally do. Like, every time I'm like, oh, I want to go do this thing, and I'm sitting there like, well, could I do that thing? I'm always afraid that if I go to try to do something, that I might fall over or hurt myself or something like that, and I'm like, I'm all about that, like, let's try it and see if I can do it, and then if I can't do it, then we won't do it ever again. And then there is some times where I'm like, I know for a fact that I will not be able to do that, whatever it is. There is sometimes like, maybe I can do it, so let's give it a shot, see, and then if not, then, well, we won't do it again. But it is a big part of my life. You guys don't get to see me moving around, walking around, and stuff like that. I'm normally sitting here, which I'm sitting on my couch recording this. I record all my videos while sitting on a couch, so you guys don't really get to see me in my day-to-day life, walking around and seeing kind of like the struggles that I go through. When I'm walking, I tend to always walk with my head down. There's sometimes where I don't, but I always tend to walk with my head down, always watching my feet. It came to be a habit of mine because I'm always afraid that something's gonna be in my way and I might trip and fall, making sure nothing is in my way of where I'm walking, so I do not trip and fall on my face because I know that I'm really unsteady. I can sometimes, like, if I do, like, my knee will give out sometimes. I'll catch myself, or sometimes I can't catch myself at all and I'll fall. I went through a long period of time where I was frustrated with life. I was just not in a good headspace at all when I first came home. I was in the middle of editing this and I was looking for some pictures because I wanted to add some pictures into, well, I'm talking about the story I was going to add in pictures, and I found a thing. I'm going to give you guys a small glimpse of how kind of like in a dark spot that I was. I'm going to show you this, and just to let you know, yes, I know there is a lot of misspelling and some of the sentences don't make sense, but I know what I'm talking about, so of course I'm going to read it to you guys as in how I was meant to put it down on page, but obviously it did not come out that way, but I know what I'm trying to talk about. Paint a smile. It's supposed to be paint a smile. Of course it's wrong, but it's fine. I paint a smile on my face so no one can see how sad I am. When I want to cry, I smile. When I'm hurting inside, I paint a smile on my face. When I am Around my family and friends, I paint a smile on my face. I hide my sorrow from everyone I know, my family, my friends, and loved ones. I pretend to be happy and I paint a smile on my face. So this was around the time that I was in the dark spot. There's a lot of misspelling and it was hard for me to read it, but I managed to cipher through it to understand what I was trying to say. Pretty much anytime I was sad, I pretty much smiled, and that's the thing. Like, when people are depressed, you don't know that they're hurting inside because they look happy. You see the person and they're like, you're like, wow, they're such a happy person. But in reality, inside they're really not happy at all. And I feel like it's like that with a lot of people who passed away. Like, you hear a celebrity has sadly taken their own life and they're like, why? They were so happy, but in reality they really weren't happy. And so this what younger Alicia wrote. This is when I was around probably 13 to 14. I'm not sure when I wrote this. It doesn't have a date on it. I wish I put a date on it, but I didn't. So I don't know how old I was at the time that I wrote this, but I was in a dark place in my life. I remember me and my brother got into an argument. I don't remember what the argument was, but it was an argument. And during that argument, I screamed that I wanted to die because I was just in a bad headspace. Like I said, I'm a frustrated crier, so when I get frustrated during an argument, I'll start crying. I'm not crying because I want you to feel bad for me. I'm crying because I'm frustrated with the situation that we're in and I don't know how to deal with it, so it comes out in tears. Like, I remember I was just crying. I was frustrated with my brother or with whatever we were fighting about. Now I don't remember what we were fighting about, but we were fighting about something. And I remember I was screaming at him that I wanted to die, and I remember him grabbing onto me and pretty much pinning me down to my bed and screaming in my face, no, you don't want to die. Do not ever say you want to die. Don't you dare ever say that you want to die. I, of course, at that time kind of stopped crying and kind of calmed down, and I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. And after that, we stopped fighting and we went our separate ways, and I was just sitting there and I felt bad for screaming that I wanted to die. I was pretty much isolated in my house constantly. I was always home. I never went out. I was isolating myself. I remember always being in my room all by myself doing whatever I was doing. I had a TV in there, so I was constantly watching TV, being alone, not wanting to be around people because I was just like not, like I said, in a great headspace. I was always daydreaming, always thinking about a life where I could go and do the things I wanted to do, and I'm starting to get a little emotional, sorry. I'm not trying to be like so I'm starting to feel emotional now. I'm reliving it, so I'm just like I'm gonna cry. I didn't go out at all. I was always in my room. My mom and my dad got me into books because I was bored all the time at home. So they wanted to give me something to do. So they got me into reading books, and I got really into the Twilight Saga. Of course, everyone got into the Twilight Saga. But I think the Twilight Saga was the first time that I ever got like sucked into it, and it was pretty much teleporting me out of the world that I was in and into a completely different world. I just got really into it because I was not home, pretty much. I was in this book. So I got really into it because it took me to a completely different world. I got into, I used to watch anime, and then I stopped watching anime, and then I recently got back into it, like when I was 13. I got into the anime world. I got a computer for Christmas. After I started watching anime, I like legitimately got sucked into it. Like, I was obsessed with it. I would like watch a whole series and then turn around having to watch another one and another one, and it was watch anime, watch anime, watch anime. Like, day in, day out was me watching anime, and it was only because it was helping me to escape my world were not so great, anime was just like kind of like a savior. I don't watch it as much as I did back then, so I watched a lot of anime, and that's why if you go back and watch my older videos, there's a lot of anime like type videos on there. I started to make anime music videos, so AMV. So I started making those, and those are the first ones that you see on my channel if you go to look at my older videos, because I was like really into anime and I thought, oh, that would be my channel. I want to make anime music videos, so that's why I started doing those on my channel. I don't do them as much anymore. There is sometimes where I will post them, but I got out of that and started doing vlogs, and then I started doing gaming, and now I do kind of gaming and vlogging sometimes. One other thing before I end this video, because you guys are seeing this today, I pre-recorded everything and I have long hair. I did get a haircut. I forgot to mention that. I got a haircut, and so in some videos you'll see I have a face cam and I have my long hair, and those are because they were pre-recorded before I got my haircut. So you're gonna see a video, you probably saw a video earlier today at noon. Well, for me it was noon. So you see me with long hair. Now you're seeing this video where I have short hair. That's because it was pre-recorded. So you're probably like, oh, how did you go from long hair to short hair? And then you're gonna see a whole bunch of other videos where there are some videos where I don't have face cam, but then you're gonna see other videos where I have long hair, where this one you're seeing it and I have short hair. So all of them are pre-recorded. I just want to let you guys know that so you're not like confused. This is gonna be the end of the video, so I hope this video isn't gonna be too long, but if it is, I hope you guys stick around and watch the whole thing. I just feel like I wanted to talk about this because, like I said, I went through a dark period in my life, and that was part of it, and my life is a lot better than it was. Like, I remember sometimes where I felt like I was drowning, like somebody was pulling me underwater. That's the only way I can explain it, is that I just felt like I was drowning. I could see a light. I wanted to go towards that light, but I just couldn't bring myself to go towards it. Just in a really dark place, but I'm in like a better place now than I was back then, and I'm like super happy now. So I know like a lot of people go through dark spots in their life and it doesn't always turn out the way it did for me, which is very sad. I'm happy that I held on and I didn't go through with it, because now my life is so much better than it was back then. I wish I can go back and tell my younger self, like, you're in a dark spot now, you're not happy, and it's gonna be a very hard, long journey, but eventually you will get to your happiness. Around 2019 to 2020, you're gonna find your happy year, and just hold on. It's gonna be a long journey, but you'll make it. That's the end of this video. Sorry for the long rant, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you're going through something dark, just know that eventually it does get better. It doesn't feel like it's gonna get better, but it will get better. Just hold on, keep fighting, and know that you are loved. Everyone around you loves you. Even if you feel like they don't, they do. And yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys did, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Ring that bell if you want to see more videos from me. Subscribe if you want to. And I'll see you beautiful night wolves in the next video. Goodbye!
Love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah. No, I